It is said that since last 65,000 years, this continent had been inhabited by the indigenous Australians. It was in 17th century that the European contact to this continent began. It was 1606 when Dutch explorer Willem Janszoon landed on the western coast of Cape York Peninsula, around what is now Weipa. But Willem Janszoon had thought that he was cruising along the coast of New Guinea. New Guinea is part of Malay Archipelago. It lies in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, north of Australia. Janszoon had already reached Australia. Europeans had heard about a landmass in southern hemisphere, which was known to them as Terra Australia Incognito, meaning an unknown southland. Indigenous Australians, including Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders, had arrived in Australia over 65,000 years ago. It is said that they were oldest living human beings on the planet. These indigenous people had developed diverse cultures, languages, and practices across the continent. Explorers from different countries, such as Portugal, Spain, China, Arabs and Romans boast of discovering Australia, but there is little documentary evidence to their claim. It is said that the Spanish did come close to the continent in October 1606. Luis Vaz de Torres had sailed through the strait, later named on his name. It is said that while passing the strait, which is between the north tip of Cape York and New Guinea, he did see the Australian mainland, but there is no evidence of his stopping and landing on the continent. Dutch explorers made the first recorded contact with Australia in the 17th century. In February 1606, the Dutch navigator Willem Janszoon had landed in Cape York Peninsula. Cape York Peninsula is located in far northern tip of Queensland, Australia. It is the largest unspoiled wilderness in eastern Australia and is known for its diverse landscapes, remote location, and indigenous cultures. Willem Janszoon and his crew of Doof Kane made history in 1606 by being the first recorded Europeans to set foot on the Australian soil at the Pennefather River. Though the land of Australia was inhabited by the indigenous Australians for thousands of years, for Europeans, it was Terra Australis Incognito, the great unknown land. The maps of the early world showed Australia as a single big landmass at the bottom of the world, that is, southern hemisphere. The European explorers often thought and considered it to be a long and perilous voyage. They thought that they will be risking their lives and their ship. But at the beginning of 17th century, the Dutch explorers dared to uncover the secrets of the Australian continent, and in 1606, Willem Janszoon made history. 10 years later, Dirk Hartog discovered the western Australian coast, and by 1618, the first accurate coastline of the Great Southern Land began appearing on the European maps. In 1770, Lieutenant James Cook took 3 voyages on behalf of the British Admiralty. The first was HMS Endeavour, which left England in August 1768 and reached southeastern Australia by 1770. Cook landed several times, most notably at Botany Bay and at Possession Island in the north. On August 23rd, he claimed the land and named it New South Wales. Later on, the British government planned to develop the region's economy by employing convict labour on government farms, while former convicts would subsist on their own small plots. The first fleet sailed on May 13th, 1787 with 11 vessels and 6 transports with 730 convicts aboard. In 730 convicts, 570 were men and 160 women. More than 200 helpers had accompanied the convicts. The fleet reached Botany Bay on January 19th 1788. But the person who put Australia on the world map was Janszoon, who, after reaching Waipa and the Pennefather River, was attacked by the indigenous people. From there, Janszoon moved down the coast for about 350 kilometers. There he met hostile natives, and some of his people were killed in the encounter. But later on, he made some friendly relations with the inhabitants. But on appropriation of some of their women, violence again broke out, and many people from both sides were killed. These events were recorded in Aboriginal oral history. Later on, this place was named as Cape Kirwir. Thank you for joining.